Human rights organization Amnesty International South Africa says security at the University of Witwatersrand should only use force against protesting students as a last resort. It's calling for police and campus security to show restraint. As you may have witnessed this week, clashes between students, campus security and hired private security guards have turned violent. Amnesty International South Africa spokesperson Mienke Steytler joins us now. Mienke, good evening to you and welcome. What's the biggest concern you have as you watch those protests unfold?
The biggest concern was injury and even possible death. We've all seen this before. We've seen rubber bullets, we've seen tear gas, and we were just very, very worried that we would see a repeat of history in a way, a repeat of what we've seen in recent years. And we felt it was very important to remind all parties of what the law says and of their rights. So that's why we called on the security forces and on the South African Police Service to really exercise restraint, but also on the students. They do, of course, have the right to assembly, but they have the right to peaceful assembly and to peaceful protest. And we just felt it was very important to remind people of that again.
Just as a way of educating our viewers further on the role of Amnesty International in South Africa and some of the work that you do, when you look at protests like these, do you typically deploy independent observers to places like campuses? How do you make your mind up about what's happening?
Yes, we do occasionally send people if possible, but of course we also have to do a risk assessment for the safety of our researchers and for the safety of the people who will be on the ground. We receive reports from people who are there. We do have university chapters as well, and they often, because they are also embedded in that community and they understand some of the frustrations and the nuances of there, we also call on them. So and just to make to make sure and to verify that we know what's going on.
What are your concerns about press restrictions? Is the university right to worry about the safety of journalists?
So, of course, we were looking at, we were getting all these reports, we were verifying, we were worried about the use of excessive force, we were worried about the violence that was breaking out, and we were worried that it would escalate to something. I mean, only a couple of years ago, a bystander lost his life. So we were really wanting to be sure that that was not going to happen again. But then we saw that the media were being asked to leave campus. We did not understand that this was because of their safety. What we understood was that the university said that they were also, inciting some of the protests or sort of making it happen more. Today, we've actually looked for updates from the university. We were really hoping for a statement from the university, which we haven't been able to receive. So for us, it comes down to the restriction of media freedom, which is enshrined in our constitution, the restriction of freedom of opinion and expression. And we also really believe that the media is integral to situations like that because they are objective observers. They are documenting what is happening, and they are really vital. If investigations have to happen afterwards, if people have been hurt, and they can document human rights violations. And I want to be clear that we are not taking sides here. We're not saying the students are right or the security is wrong or the security is right and the students are wrong. We are literally very concerned for the safety of human beings. And for that, we feel that the media plays such an integral role in capturing on camera so that one can actually see what has really happened and verify.
So you would have heard, perhaps you have heard in the previous interview with Sharona Patel, who speaks for the university, part of the concern expressed was that the impact of having reporters cover stories like this is that their presence makes things worse. It causes people to perform for the cameras. What's your experience of this and how would you answer her?
Sadly, we would not agree. We do feel that there's just no situation where journalists should be asked to leave a situation like that. Of course, if there are journalists that are not respecting every right comes with responsibility, right? So you have the right to freedom of expression and you have the right to be there and your media freedom. But if you are maybe joining the protests, or you are inciting people, or you are doing something, throw some rocks because you want to get that shot, then that needs to be investigated, and that journalist obviously needs to be held accountable. But if there isn't a proof of that, and journalists are really observers, then we feel that media freedom and the importance and the vitality the media, the fourth estate, plays in situations like this trumps that some of them might have been inciting. There has to be proof of that, and if it can be proved, then those journalists must be held accountable. Pardon me. But if it cannot be proved, you cannot just put a blanket ban on all journalists and ask all of them to leave campus.
What's your call tonight to university management?
We really hope that there will be a peaceful resolution to this. One of the updates I did receive earlier was that that administration had met with some of the student leaders this morning, as far as I understand. Again, I've been looking for updates, but I haven't received any. And hopefully on both parties to really listen, to communicate, to listen to each other's thinking, to each other's concerns, and to come to a resolution that will mean some sacrifice on both sides. But hopefully that will mean that there will be peace going forward, and that when Monday morning dawns, there won't be a renewal of what we've seen in the last few days, especially since Wednesday.
Mienke Steytler from Amnesty International South Africa, thank you very much for your time this evening. We appreciate it.